I'm interviewing you, so maybe I'll go into your Facebook.
Okay, whatever. Don't worry about it. I already posted it this morning, so.
Well, and we're live.
Oh, okay.
Eh,
Amazing. Hello,
eh,
Tel Aviv.
Hello to wherever you are.
West Hempstead, Long Island.
Exactly. An hour from New York.
I'm excited that I get to visit Israel since the airport's closed. This is the way to do it.
Well, you've got Mel, and Mel is here in Ramat Gan. So,
Amazing.
so Anne, we're going to start with our jingle.
I didn't know we had a jingle. That's exciting. I'm listening. Go.
You haven't watched enough shows, dear.
I know. I apologize.
Well, we always have a jingle. Don't apologize. Never apologize. Are you ready?
Oh, this is great.
Well, grab a seat or we'll sweep you off your feet. We move, we groove, you got Mel. Ease your legs, rest a while, all you gotta do is smile. We're swell, can't you tell, you got Mel. When the show begins, you better hold on real tight, or before you know it, you'll be high as a kite. Take a break, settle down, we're the only show in town. SRO, don't you know, you got Mel. Give it up, don't think twice, we're a hurricane on ice. What the hell, give a yell, ring your bell, show and tell. Mademoiselle, give a smell, you got Mel. You've got
Mel.
Mel.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you. So this show is all about you. And
Okay.
Anne, so you have many hats. You're a woman of many hats.
And even a shaitel from time to
And
time.
oh, that's fine. You know, I could use one.
It does help with the hair care in the morning.
Yeah. Some people have bad hair days, and I have no hair days.
Okay. I bet you're a little more comfortable than me, though, so you win.
I'm less religious than you are.
I don't measure such things. We'll leave that to
Anyway,
somebody else. Somebody more
welcome to
qualified
the
than I.
show. And
Hmm?
you are an author, an illustrator, an artist, and an editor.
And an art director,
Oy vey, I don't have any more fingers on my
and
hand.
a grocery shopper, and a mother of three.
Keine Hore.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we can speak a little Yiddish today.
We could try. I'm not sure I could catch up. My parents would use Yiddish for so that I wouldn't understand. So
Ah,
I know about the four key words like chutzpah and kinderlach and I don't know cholent.
Cholent is good.
Hmm.
Cholent actually appears in my new book.
Oh,
In your honor, I've written, for the first time in my life, a manuscript for Jewish kids.
oh, that's so
Ne-
nice.
Never happened before. So start at the very beginning, and then we'll just go from hat to hat to hat.
Okay, sounds great. Which hat do you want to start with?
With Anne.
Okay, I live in West Hempstead. As I mentioned, I'm the mother of three kids, but I'm not sure I could call
Anne, no,
them.
no, start at the beginning. I was born.
Oh, I got to start back then.
Yeah.
I was born a girl child to my parents a while back in Ridgewood, New Jersey. My dad is, they both thank God, still living and healthy and happy, about a mile from me over there. And my dad was a rabbi. Yeah, it's that way. My dad was the rabbi of our community. Um, and I don't know where else to go. It's hard to think back that far. Then I can say that my first artistic memory was in kindergarten when I drew a bird and everybody told me that it was such a great bird, and like that's vividly in my head, remembering everybody liking my bird. Um, and then fast forward, I went to Stern College, Yeshiva University, and I majored in art. And while I was at Stern, I interned at DC Comics, where they
Whoa,
killed.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on. We're going too fast. We're going too
Okay,
fast.
okay. So
So,
slow me down. Ask me
okay,
questions.
okay. What were you like as a 5-year-old kid?
I always loved to draw. It was a big drawing
Okay,
was always
now
a
you
big
went to Stern College, which is a religious
Orthodox
Jewish
place.
Orthodox place.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that they teach art there because there's all kinds of constraints on
They
religious artists not to draw pigs and not to draw people and not to draw chvezvos.
Okay, so then I guess the place is not that orthodox because I drew lots and lots of people and was not thrown out. I'm trying to think if I had occasion to draw a pig, but I don't think I did. But it wasn't a religious decision to not draw a pig. So I mean, I guess you could, there was limits in that when we drew for models, they were closed. They didn't do nude models.
Sorry to hear. And
Yes,
then
very
and
disappointing.
we have to
Later, I
check.
went to the School of Visual Arts and I did get to draw naked people. And I have to say, I prefer them with clothes, personally.
Okay.
And
I've never had the experience, so and you also became a professor. You also taught the art at college.
yeah, like I was an adjunct professor at Stern College for 1 semester and I loved it. I had such a good time. My students were awesome. And I got to talk about art with people who cared about art. And so it
Why
was
why only 1 semester? You were too good?
because then I got a job at Beerman House Publishers and became an editor
So
of
today
Jewish
you're
children's
you're an
books.
editor of Jewish children's books,
Mhm,
and
I am.
you get paid for that?
Yes, they pay me. It's
That
amazing.
that no, that's remarkable. So I
Yeah.
mean, my listeners are all going to know um, how to write a Jewish theme book that might be acceptable for Jewish publishers.
Well, there's a lot of different Jewish publishers. So
Oh,
acceptable.
we'll come back to that.
Oh, okay, sure.
Somebody said I bounce around, but I have to keep us
So
on
you're being Yashar.
I
Okay.
have to keep us on a trajectory.
Okay.
Okay, so what is Anne basically? A author, an illustrator, an artist. Where's your first hat?
I'm a storyteller. And the
Okay,
storytelling happens through art and through words and through collaboration with other authors. And that is the big bucket that everything fits into. I tell stories with pictures and words and other people.
okay.
So
You
that all
you
comes together.
you sent me an incredible book, like the colors of Genesis.
Oh, I really am proud of that one. Here,
You
I can
should
hold
be.
it
You
up. Hold
have,
on.
yeah, you should have these books around. The show is about you, right?
Yeah, here
Crea-
you go. This is Creation Colors.
Talk about the creation of creation colors from the beginning to the finish.
So that is such an interesting question to me because it's actually a book that I did backwards. Usually the way a book is forwards. You make a story as an author. I have the author hat on. And then when you make the story exactly the way you want it to do with words, then you pass it over to the illustrator. And I put the illustrator hat on and I draw the pictures. And then the editor tells me to fix everything. That's a big part of the process.
Okay.
But this way I went backwards because my husband had a business trip to Barcelona. And I said, "You're going to Barcelona? I shall visit you in Barcelona." So I went for a very quick trip. It was like 2 or 3 days to just meet him. And the colors in Barcelona just filled my eyes. The art, there's a lot of Gaudi. There's a lot of beautiful, detailed mosaics and tile work. And it just blew me away. And when I came home, all those colors were still in my head. And I made a series of 7 paintings using kind of that inspiration. Because to me, when I saw the tile work, it kind of inspired the paper cut because they're both shapes and broken down pieces
So you were inspired by Gaudi,
by
and
Gaudi. Yeah,
and did you go to the cathedral?
I did.
You
It was
did.
actually a funny experience
So
because my husband,
you're not all that orthodox.
I know. I'm a faker. No, but it's not.
No,
But
listen,
we went,
you're my kind of orthodox, Ann. Don't get me
we
wrong.
we went to the cathedral. It was actually it's actually the most Jewish moment I felt on that trip because my husband kept on his kippah and I had my like tourist baseball cap, and they kept coming to us saying, "Could you please take off your hats?"
Ah,
You're in a cathedral, you really need to take off your hats. And then we kept having to explain to them, for religious reasons, we keep our head covered. And they were completely confused because, no, for religious reasons, you take your hat off. And we're like, no, for religious reasons, we're keeping them on. And, and it just felt very Jewish, and we felt very proud, and we kept our hats on. So, but yeah, I saw the cathedral, but I also saw all there's the park Gel, the,
yeah.
it's just gorgeous, gorgeous. And it all fed my brain. So I made the art. And after I made the art, I looked at 7 huge paintings and said, hey, that could be a story, this story. So I wrote the story, the words to go with it. And then it became a book.
Can you show us some of the amazing double spreads?
Sure. You want to pick a day?
I'm going to let you do that.
Let me pick something that'll look good on screen. So I like, here, can you see this? Well, let me get it done.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of paper cutting and paint and a little bit of digital work as well. Here, let's pick another one. Here, for our multicultural times.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
This is
so
day number 6.
God created, man and woman, and then he created everybody else too.
Day number that that's good. And the rest of us.
Yes, in all shapes and sizes, with hair and without.
So the book is incredible.
Thank you.
Who published it?
Apples and Honey Press, which is an imprint of Behrman House, which is my other hat.
So did you have to pitch your own story to the place where you work?
Absolutely. And I pitch and I pitch and I pitch, and way more often than not, I'm rejected. Even though they're my friends and they're lovely and they're nice to me, they'll still tell me,
Okay.
So in fact, when I pitched this initially, it was rejected. And then I made more arts and I said, see, and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, it could be a book. So they reject me on a regular basis.
Okay, but now you've got Mel.
But now I've got Mel. And now I've got a book.
It's incredible. When did that book come out? It's gorgeous.
Thank you. It was, I think it's 2019. I'm going to check. It's hard to keep up. Yeah, 2019.
And the remarkable thing about it is that the Christians and Muslims also believe in the 7 days of creation.
Mm-hmm. And the message is universal, because it's about seeing and appreciating the colors around us in our everyday world and realizing that they're miraculous.
It is a wonderful book.
Thank you.
If that is the only thing that you've written, then it's really incredible. And
I'm very proud of it.
And if I were very, very religious, then I there's a little bit of playing with the Bible, and I do love it.
Well, it is the main story, and then I'll say that I made my own midrash, right?
Exactly.
But it doesn't tell the story incorrectly. It just adds.
And you tweak the story.
Okay.
No,
listen, different words.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I do think it's authentic, though. I don't think it's like off the rails.
No, for sure. I mean, if there is a God, I'm sure that he or she or them or whatever is very happy with that, because that's that has like there's something divine in that type of writing.
Right. Well, yes. I mean, I retold the creation story through the lens of color. Like on day 1, God creates black and white. Now that's not how Bereshit or Genesis tells it. So I'm tweaking, but I'm not wrong, because he did create black, or she created black and white on day 1.
I'm with you. I'm not a rabbi.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just, in case anybody's listening that is going to be like, oh, she messed with the Bible. Now she'll know. Now they'll know how I messed with the Bible.
But you messed well.
Thank you, sir.
And most of you've been involved in dozens of books, and many of them as an illustrator. Are there any that you're particularly proud of?
Creation Cause I'm very proud of. I'm proud of one that I didn't illustrate, that I just wrote. which was called Judah Maccabee Goes to the Doctor, which was, I don't know if you remember, because now we're all in Corona, but a bunch of years ago, there were measles outbreaks. And there was a lot of discussions about anti-vaxxers and people who are vaccine resistant. So, history repeats itself. And so I wrote a story about a boy who was scared to get his shot and has to overcome his fear. And the way he overcomes his fear is that his parents tell him if he gets a shot, it will protect his little sister who he loves because she's too young to get a shot. So then he gets very courageous and he gets a shot. So I'm proud of that too because of its message.
It's lovely. And I can imagine Judah Maccabee 2,000 years ago,
Uh-huh.
right? This brave warrior who was probably afraid of something, spiders,
Maybe it was spiders. Probably
They,
it was,
they didn't have vaccines then, and millions of people died.
right.
Good thing we have vaccines.
Yeah, and amazing. Israel's the king of the vaccines right now.
Well, we get them from Pfizer, let's face it.
I know, but you get them and you give them. That's pretty remarkable.
Yes, I'm completely vaccinated. You can come have coffee with me anytime.
I'm coming as soon as they open the airport.
By the way, we're going to have a children's book writer conference here.
Very nice. Well, there usually is the SCBWI one.
Yeah, no, but we're going to have an international one.
Very nice.
And you're going to come.
That sounds wonderful.
Because you're also sponsoring it.
No, somebody's sponsoring me.
Exactly.
Somebody's sponsoring me.
So Ann, let's now talk a little bit about being an editor while you are an author and an illustrator. This is intriguing.
Yeah.
So how did you get this job? This is a dream job.
I'm very fortunate. And it was actually funny how I got the job because I was looking, sorry, I have to turn off my ringer here. I apologize.
You can answer the
I was
phone.
looking for work because my kids got big. They're 16, 20, and 22 right now. So they're taller than me. Kanahara. And so, your kids get big and you're like, oh, I should have a real job. So I was looking and I had an interview at a different place and they asked for references. And so I called, I had done a book with Dina Neusner as an author illustrator. So I called her and said, would you be my reference for this other job that I'm interviewing for? And then she said, sure, I'd be happy to, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, I thought to throw in, Bierman House doesn't happen to be looking for people, does it? And she said, as a matter of fact,
You gotta be kidding.
No, that's how it happened. So I sent a resume and then they interviewed me and then they gave me an editorial test to see how I edit. So they gave me something to edit and then they liked how I did that. And then they interviewed me some more. And then amazingly, they hired me. And I've been there for 8 years now. It's been a really good run.
That's incredible. So
It is incredible.
As an editor, are you like an acquisitions editor also? Do you get to decide?
I am on the acquisitions team. No one person at Bierman, it's a small place. It's a very collaborative place. So no one person makes the decision. It's a meeting and we all sit in it's actually several levels of meetings because meeting one is me and Dina and my colleague Aleph. We all sit, we read, we talk, we decide, and then whatever we like and really think should go for it, we refer up to the publisher, David Bierman, who makes the ultimate rubber stamp. So we each weigh in and that's how we do it. But so I'm part of that team, but that's just a small part of my job. Most of the job is working with the author to get their manuscript into ship shape, going back and forth. And then after that, finding an illustrator for it and working with the illustrator to go back and forth.
Because it's a small publishing house, are you constrained as to which illustrators you can use, how much you can pay them?
Yes, it's called a budget. Yes, we're definitely constrained. I would love to hire all the Caldecott winners and it's not going to happen, sadly. But what I do love to do, because I have a limited budget, the limited budget is a function of the fact that we're a niche publisher. So you know, a Hanukkah book will only sell so many copies. There are only so many Jews who want one compared to the rest of the Christian population in the United States. So that's what informs the budget. But what I really like to do, and I've done this several times, is I find an artist who has extreme talent, and it's like they haven't done a book, but I see an amazing portfolio, and I swoop in and we illustrate the book, or one book or two books together, and then we're priced out because they grow and we can't afford them anymore.
You swoop in and then they take off.
And then they take off. But I'm very proud of it because I get to work with these amazing, talented people.
Can you
and
name
them? And I'm sorry.
Can you name one or two of these people? So
David Mottram. I'm not even sure. Dave Mottram did Oy Life in a Shoe with us, and it was he did a spectacular job. And then he went on to do bigger and better things. Now, actually, I think he's an illustrator. He's a designer at where did he go? Like Google or something. I can't remember what, but it's not Google, something like that. Now I'm blanking. You put me on the spot.
Google.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So you specifically want illustrators that we no longer can afford. I just had the experience this week. Jen, I'm blanking on her name, so forgive me, but she illustrated, we have a new book that was for Purim called Queen Vashti's Comfy Pants.
Yeah, I saw it.
So the illustrator for that just told me we can't afford her because I wanted to do her for a second book, but she's already taken off.
She found her comfy
but she
pants.
did a fabulous job with it. So I'm glad we got her while we could.
And what I love about your publishing is this kind of irreverence. That the books don't have to toe the line, whatever the line is.
Mm-hmm. Well, we toe the line of what matters, and I think the underlying Jewish values are being towed, but we do play with the traditions to tell those stories.
So here's my, up until last month, I never wrote a story that I knew had anything to do with Jews or Judaism. Mm-hmm. I guess all my stories have to do in some way, but mm-hmm. I find that, and tell me if I say, okay, I have to write a story for Hanukkah. Mm-hmm. I'll write a story for Hanukkah. I'll send it to Ann. Apples and Honey will publish it, mm-hmm. and I'll have a Jewish story.
Yeah,
all the stories I wrote like that were chaloshis. They were lousy.
Then you didn't find the right story yet.
No, I found a month ago, but I'm saying that when you have like an end in mind, I'm going to write a story about Purim. Now, what am I going to write about? I'm going to write a story about being a good older brother. I don't think stories are born like that.
I think stories are born many, many ways with many different people. If I look at my own books, I told you this one was backwards. I was inspired by the art. The Judah Maccabee story came because of the whole controversy that inspired it.
No, but and that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like you woke up in the morning and say, I'm going to write a book about a Judah Maccabee. It came from somewhere else. That's what the point I'm asking you.
No, but there's a book I have called Noah's Swimathon, which is about a boy who learns to swim. And that story came because I woke up that morning and said, I want to write a book that takes place in a Jewish camp. Because I worked in a Jewish camp, and PJ Library was looking for camp stories I happen to know. And I knew that that's where a lot of Jewish kids today spend a lot of time and have a lot of memories of. So I'm like, I'm making a Jewish camp story. And then I said, okay, what's Jewish about camp? And then I thought, well, what's a big deal in camp? And swimming is a very big deal in Jewish camps. And what's Jewish about it is tzedakah, because they do a fundraiser every year as a swimathon. So that became the book. But that's what you just said doesn't happen. It sometimes happens. Sometimes it's horrible and sometimes it works. But I think that's with everything. It's kind of like with dating, right? Some people meet at a bar and some people meet on a blind date and some people meet on you can meet your bashert many different ways, and then there could be bad dates many, many ways.
So maybe it's a personal thing. You
I
know,
think, but as a person, I've done all different ways. I think it's just a being open to the story from wherever it comes.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
But maybe there's people that say, somebody needs a story about so on,
Mhm.
but I'm not those people. So, but maybe there
Okay.
are people like that.
Yeah. And some people,
A story has to come to me, like your story about Barcelona or
yeah.
your happenstance
Uh-huh.
dream job.
Hmm.
So I'm a believer in you call it bashert in
Yeah.
writing out of not having a purpose, but all of a sudden an idea comes to you,
Right.
and then you find the purpose while you're writing it, so it
Right.
doesn't hit the kids over, obey the Shabbat or whatever.
Right. So that's actually a really interesting idea, because so like if you take the mitzvah of tzedakah, if you wait to be motivated to give, and when I have a giving feeling, that's beautiful. But sometimes you just have to give even though you're not in the mood, right? You just have
Yeah,
to, right. So sometimes it's not just coming and you have to force it, or at least you have to try to get yourself there. I
it's
think that's I think it's a yin yang. I think they're both.
it's so interesting. It's
Yeah.
so interesting because I waited my whole life to be able to write for kids,
Oh,
so that
that's
I wouldn't have to, be a scientist and write
mhm.
exactly this or that,
Right.
right? But I guess everybody has a different way of looking at it, and that's really
Yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah. And I think different, and again, I think like some of my stories are like this. I'm like, I'm going to write a this. And some of my stories are, it feels like a blast from, you know, out of the blue.
Well, we'll talk about this more when we do our one-on-ones. In the meantime,
Hmm.
what advice do you have for writers, for illustrators who want to get traditionally published? What are your secret
Uh,
advices?
so the advice for how to get published, or the advice how to be good at what you're doing? I'll go with the be published because that's usually what people want to know.
No,
Um,
I think that you should do both of them. No.
okay. Okay. So the biggest advice I have in terms of your craft is to just, if you're an artist, keep drawing. It's like that old joke, practice, practice, practice. That's how you get to Carnegie Hall. Just keep drawing and keep drawing, and, continue to explore. Don't think that you're locked in. You're not done. You could always do something different. You could always do something a new way, and there's always learning. And once you're like, oh, I draw like this, and you're done, it's a little bit, um, you've lost something spontaneous. So just always be open and keep creating and keep saying, hey, I'll try this, I'll try this. In terms of being published, I like to recommend that people join groups like the one that you've been forming, and get colleagues, because you'll find things out from your colleagues, from your friends, and from speakers. There's an organization called SCBWI, Society of Children's Books Writers Illustrator Group. They're fantastic. I think anybody should join them and go to some of their lectures and use their materials and their resources. The Jewish Book Council has a wonderful session once a year. And that's a great thing to attend, particularly if you're interested in Jewish book writing. And Highlights has all these classes and sessions. I think some of them are going on right now, actually. So I just would encourage people to not just sit home in their room by themselves, but to get out there and meet other people who are doing what you do, and to hear from the people who you want. Like if you go to these conferences at SCBWI, you hear from art directors, you hear from editors, and you could get a sense of what they're looking for. So that's my biggest advice, is to get out of your house, even if it's on Zoom.
To get out of your house, even on Zoom.
Yes.
Yes, that's great. I just participated along with, I don't know, 5,000 other people in the
Mhm.
SCBW I
Oh,
meeting.
I was there. We should have said hi.
You and me and 5,000 other people.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I haven't listened yet because I'm in Israel, so
Oh, yes.
I said hello to everybody. Nobody saw me. Nobody heard me.
Hmm.
And I'm going to, I listened to one talk, and
Hmm.
I have till the end of the month to listen to all the rest.
Yeah.
So, and so is, is Bierman looking for great stories?
Always.
How do they
Appleton,
come from agents or directly from the slush pile?
both. We read everything and everybody gets a response, which I don't think a lot of publishers are doing these days. So you will hear back from us. It might take 3 months, it might take 5 months, but you will hear back.
So listen, can you post a link or something?
Yeah, I'll say it out loud and then I'll post it.
There's many hundreds of
Mhm,
writers that watch these interviews.
mhm.
And some of them
Absolutely.
are going to want to write about Purim and Hanukkah.
Okay, that's the website. I'm putting it in the chat.
You don't have to do it right now.
Oh, well,
And no, this stays up.
okay,
The
good,
link stays up on Facebook, and then I make
good.
a copy for you.
I'll put it in the comments.
And
I'll
you
put
can
it up in the
share it.
comments.
You can share it with the ganze Mishpoche.
Excellent.
And listen, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. This is,
Um,
I love talking about what I do with people. So I thank you for inviting me.
Okay, we've gone over half an hour. Do we have 5 more minutes?
Let's do 5 more minutes if you want.
Okay.
It's up to you.
No, because you're busy. I'm
Now I'm busy and I'm also very aware that I'm fascinating, but I don't think I'm that interesting. Like I
Trust
think
me.
shorter interviews people are more interested in.
No, trust me. I'll tell you why you're interesting, because you have so many hats, and
Mhm.
because you have a real bubbly personality,
Thank you.
and because you do what we don't do, which is actually you see the whole process.
I know. And that's
And
really helped being an editor has really helped. They like feed each other. Being an editor and working with, I get to work. I did a book with Eric Kimmel. I did a book with David Adler. I did a book with Barbara Diamond Golden. These are the gold, silver, genius platinum writers of Jewish content. And I get to see their process, and they're kind enough to, go back and forth with me, and we work together, and it's an amazing education.
and you are an incredible person. Just from the
Thank you.
interview, I can't wait to actually meet you in person.
Me too.
And I hope this happens im Yirtzeh Hashem quickly.
Bimhera v'yameinu.
Amen, amen. So my last question in these interviews is about the Beatles.
Really? You'll
Yeah,
have to explain more.
Do you like the Beatles?
Of course.
Do you have
It's
a
their-
favorite? Do you have a favorite Beatles song?
That's like saying, can you choose between your children?
Well, I'll tell you. See, always on
I'll
the
go with
show-
Twist and Shout at the moment because that's the mood I'm in.
Okay, that's a good choice because you haven't seen the interviews. And at the end of the interviews, I ask my guests to sing a little bit of their favorite song.
Uh-oh.
And nobody's ever picked Twist and Shout. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Ann Koffsky.
No, I'm not going to torture your audience and have me sing.
No, please torture.
I can't. You have found my humble line. You have found where I'm going to be too self-conscious.
You're going to be the first person.
Here,
on
I'll
the
go
show.
like this.
Okay.
I dance
Come
it.
on, baby.
Yeah, you should sing.
Twist and shout. You can answer.
Twist and shout.
Come on, come on, baby.
Come on, baby.
Let it rip it all out.
Yeah.
You know you twist real good.
Here, I'll do those shampoo.
You know you twist real fine.
You're very good. See, that's why you want people to sing, because you're good at it.
Of course. You know, it's your show, but I'm the host, you know.
Excellent. And
I
you've
have
done a
to-
very good job. Thank you
No,
for making me feel
And
welcome.
nobody pays me to do this. It's a labor of love. I gotta love it, right?
I think it's brilliant. You get to have conversations with it sounds really fun.
And believe it or not, you are one of the most incredible people that I've had on the show.
You're very kind. Thank you.
And you are splendid. And you're gonna get my my story one of these days.
I look forward to it. I look
Listen.
forward to it.
Thank you so much for being on You've Got Mel. Now
Absolutely.
go and make more books. Thank you, Ann Koffsky.
Amen. You too. Thank
Amen.
you so much, Mel. This was a lot of fun.
And the Chag Pesach Sameach, as they say. Kasher
Oh, I'm
Sameach.
not, I'm still in denial. I'm not
It's
ready.
coming. No, but you can always say, Corona, Shvarona. Have you been vaccinated?
I'm halfway.
Eliyahu Hanavi might come to the door and he's not vaccinated. What are we going to
I'm
do?
sure he'll be wearing a mask. He's very considerate.
Thank you so much,
Thank
dear.
you. It was great hanging out with
I'm
you.
going to write to you. You haven't seen the end of me.
I look forward to it.
Bye-bye, dear.
Bye.